Right, so this is our analysis of the views on the back page of the case study. And the first view is that international trade is rigged against the poor and that they can't participate in things like world trade talks because they don't have the knowledge and the know-how or the ambassadors and people that can do it. And there are a lot of biases in just the basic rules of the World Trade Organization that favour developed countries rather than developing nations, which is also dependency theory. View 2 just further shows how disadvantaged the developing nations are, particularly these three, in world trade, and how the World Bank have shown that, and that their exports are getting worse and worse and still not gotten better in decades.
View 3 is just another example of sort of how violence through civil war and terrorism is just affecting the African nations. In this case it's Kenya and the tourism industry in Kenya.
View 4 just goes through all the individual reasons of why the three countries have had poor development, and basically it demonstrates the problem of how they're finding it very difficult to solve all the issues, trying to go through different projects like LAPSET to solve all those issues, but which one do you solve first when you've got a string of problems, as long as they have?
View 5 is just suggesting, in my opinion, that the countries in Africa, lots of them actually have quite a high amount of resources, yet are not able to utilise these to develop. It links in with Figure 7, which shows the three countries having high amounts of external debt. It also links into Figure 10 with corruption in the corruption index, which is suggesting poorly management.
So then finally looking at view 6, it's talking about Kenya's previous and current projects that they're looking to build, such as LAPSET again, and also fish farming projects and World Bank funded cold storage facility in Lamu. These all flopped because of the legacy of mismanagement, corruption and disillusionment. LAPSET's also looking to follow this trend, as if you look at how far they've achieved with their targets, they are mostly on not really achieving what they are planned to do. I mean, they plan to do an oil refinery for 2015, and yet that still hasn't been started. And they've perhaps started on the wrong things first, such as the tourism industry first, and then they're just going to build a big oil pipeline through it. So that doesn't really work in that way. So it's kind of
Just further shows
Mismanagement.
the mismanagement in Africa.
Corruption.